Hey, everybody. Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. I'm John Martin.
And I'm Dean Reverman.
All right, Dean, we're back to do one of these BlueStar Nation surveys again.
Yes.
We just keep generating all this like cool, fascinating content where we're going out there and talking to actual end users.
I love it.
People that our VARs and ISVs
Yes.
work with.
Yes.
Trying to find out what makes you tick. What
They
are you
don't have
interested in?
time for this.
No.
We got time and we got skills and we got resources.
Yeah. I mean, you as a VAR, imagine being able to go out and say, like, all right, we're going to go collect data from 100 different people across an industry and all types of job types all across the country.
Ain't going to happen.
How long would that take you to do? How much effort would you have to put into that?
No, it just wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So we do it for you.
That's right. That's right. That's
we
what
give
we're
you the
here.
results. So as always, this article's already up on BlueStar Nation. Go to the show notes. There's a link there. I mean, by now you should be subscribed to BlueStar Nation.
You better be.
You should have the site bookmarked. You should be subscribed to the newsletter.
If not, hit stop. Stop right now.
Yeah,
Go
just
do
pause.
that right.
We'll be here when
right
we come
here.
back. Yeah,
Sweet.
or we could just banter about something else for a little bit. Just talk about the weather.
Yeah,
what's been going on in the news. Kill
Dang
maybe 5 minutes or so, and then come back. No, we're not going to do that.
Yeah,
But so this time the topic though is one that is near and dear to my heart. And I believe yours as well. Self-service.
Oh, no. It's much closer to your heart, I
is.
believe, yes.
The idea of being able to walk into any kind of establishment, not have to speak to a single human being, get all of my business done, take care. Because why rely on someone else when you can just take care of things yourself?
The fools behind the counter, yeah.
Look, those people work very hard. I get
do.
it. I was one of them once upon a time, too.
Yes.
But also, I'm someone who, again, I can take care of
you got
my
a
own
mission.
stuff.
You're walking in, you get your stuff, you're walking out.
Yeah.
Frictionless, let's go.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So this was a survey that ELO sponsored for us. Thank you so
thank
much,
you, ELO.
for sponsoring that.
There you go.
So they're double dipping in this episode. They sponsor a survey. They sponsor the podcast.
Holy moly, yeah.
It's like just like everything's coming up ELO on this one here.
We like it.
But
We like
we
it.
got some good stuff here. We're going to talk. Obviously, we're going to get into our methodology behind this. We're going to talk about expectations for cost from customers, how much they think self-service deployment should cost.
There's a disconnect on that.
We're going to talk about what they think is useful about self-service and why they are basically deploying it.
Fair enough.
We're going to talk about their current usage, where they're currently using it, what do they think are the biggest benefits that they get from it, who handles self-service within their facilities, and also some, where they see some technical issues and problems, when they go out there and deploy.
Are we going to get into the John Martin top 3 self-serve areas or places to go that you think have it right?
Or
maybe we'll save that till later.
I didn't think about that ahead of time.
Maybe
but
off the top of your head, you could riff.
I'll give it some thought on places that are really good. Again, if I can walk in,
well, I'm sure you rate them.
do
at
my
this point,
business and
yeah.
walk out without speaking to a single human being, I figure.
Well, you're like my son rating Chipotle's and my daughter rating which hamburger place
My
she
wife
likes.
makes fun of me that all the time about that stuff because I am that person. Like someone sends me a survey, I fill it out.
There you go.
Even if there's no incentive, I'm just like, yeah, I'll let you know how you did. I'll also let you know how you didn't do. Now, granted, I'm not out there on like Yelp leaving like awful reviews and these guys are jerks. Don't ever go there.
Well,
don't do that.
We need your top 3.
But I'll give you the personal feedback.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. Good.
All that plus our usual value to the VAR. What's TEConnecting with us? It's time to plug in and get connected.
Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. It's time to get connected.
All right, Dean, let's get into it here.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about this survey that we've got up here. It's 100 retailers told us about self-service technology use in their stores. So again, 100 people. That's a pretty good swath of people.
Oh yeah.
And when we get into the who we talk to, we covered a lot of ground here, a lot of different business types.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is a pretty thorough survey to understand what might be going on in the world of retail when it comes to self-service. So let's start off by getting into our methodology here.
Oh, now before we do that, can I set the table a little bit there, my friend?
All right, let's hear it.
Because I have some additional little statistics to throw on the countertop before we get into
Dean did his research.
There you go.
Doesn't happen too often.
So according to some surveys, 73% of retailers plan to increase their use of self-service technology within 3 years.
Makes
right?
sense.
That makes a lot of sense. In a study conducted by SOTI, who's one of those vendors that we work with, 66% of respondents said they prefer to use self-service technology for tasks like price checks, we'll get into that, inventory lookup, and product information. And I think you are definitely a part of that 66% that rose their hand and said, yes, Count on me for self-service
Yes,
technology.
please. Yeah.
According to VDC, and everybody knows who VDC is in this industry, self-serve checkout solutions can improve checkout speeds by up to 40%. Seems like a bold claim, but 40%? All right, we'll go with that. And then
That very much depends on who's doing the checking out.
there you
honestly.
go, right?
I've
Yeah.
seen plenty of people go up to these self-checkouts and go, oh, I don't know.
That's generational. You're being mean to an ageist
suppose-
at this point in time.
I suppose I am. Someday someone's going to say that about me. Like, look, this old coot can't figure out how to use VR, you know?
And here's you. A study by NCR found that 73% of customers believe self-checkout improves their shopping experience.
go.
Right? That's you.
I concur.
And then here's back to your generational thing. A survey by RIS News and IHL Group, 69% of Gen Z shoppers and 62% of millennials prefer self-service options over traditional checkout methods. So
Okay,
there you go.
okay.
So it's that younger group, right?
Yep.
That's what I was talking about. Those
Yep.
people want this. Oh, you are a younger group, I guess. You know,
Yeah,
you
I'm
want
like-
this.
I'm on the young
frictionless
edge of
on
Gen
demand.
X, I guess,
There you go.
you know,
There you
yeah.
go. All right. Now, with all that having been said,
Okay.
we asked 100 people.
Yes,
Yeah.
100 people. Now, who are those people, obviously?
you go.
We want to know, who do we talk to? So on the job seniority side, 76 of the respondents were managers or directors.
Mm-hmm.
Their job functions were spread across IT, operations, and regional and store-level management, typically.
Mm-hmm.
For the number of employees that work for these companies, now, we actually made an effort here to go out and talk to retailers who had at least 100 or more employees.
Yes.
So more than half of the total people we talked to were from companies that actually employed 500 or more.
Which is big.
Yes.
Yep.
So these were quite large companies. And I guess
Absolutely.
if you start from the 100 level, that was almost like 75%, I think,
Mm-hmm.
of the overall amount of folks were from companies that employed 100 or more people. So again, we wanted to make sure we were talking to some of the big, larger chains here. We
Yeah.
got a few small ones in there too. But again, the larger chains are typically where a lot of the self-service is happening, that at least would potentially already have it in place
Yeah.
to answer some of these questions.
Yeah.
As far as business type, this again was quite across the board. I recommend you check out the article to see the swath of different types of companies. But the top two were general merchandise and electronics. We also had quite a few from clothing and apparel, supermarket, grocery, and home goods, and then a scattering of other responses from other industries or other types.
Yeah,
of
but
retailers
really
as well.
well represented.
Very
right?
much
I mean,
so,
we
yeah.
got all kinds of stuff going on here.
Yeah, exactly.
Drugstores,
Yep.
clothing, apparel, hardware stores chimed in here with 6
Yep.
solid. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we also had a question about their involvement in technology decisions in their business, and overwhelmingly the responses were that they were either the primary decision maker for technology or part of a group that made those decisions. So again, I think we tackle the right kinds of people here. A broad swath of industries. Folks in IT, operations, large retail companies that probably already have implemented self-service in some way or another, and the folks who actually make this technology decisions. So
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
your background of who we actually spoke with here.
Yeah, and a little bit more on the call out there. You know, even though I guess you said we were targeting larger ones
Right.
on this one, we did have a handful of people that are, 3 that were in the 11 to 50
Yeah, yeah.
employees. But I'm going to harp on them a couple times in this survey because I think that their responses shine through in a couple of areas. So that's good. And I also like the fact that, man, we got a lot of decision makers. When you look at that chart, my calculation is that about 86% were part of either, what do we call it, primarily responsible or part of the group that makes the decision. So when you got close to 90% of these people are decision makers, that's good.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
That's who you want to
So
talk to. That's why
it. That's
these are
exactly.
the people you want to hear from. You want to know what they're doing.
Yup.
All right. So the first big question we asked, which I think is an interesting, eye-opening one, I think you're going to have probably some thoughts on this, is we basically asked, what would you expect to pay for self-service technology?
Yes.
And obviously this is kind of a difficult question to put out there because, some people just may not know, or maybe you could lead them to options if you wanted to. We wanted to try to make give people some options. And really the options we gave were mostly around different types of self-service technology, and said, all right, let's say you're implementing a price checker, a self-price checker. How much do you think that would cost to implement?
Now, my question to you is, I don't know here, did we give them like a range of price? Or was this like a handwritten in area
I do
thing?
not know.
Okay.
I feel like this may be in kind of a fill-in because we did average cost estimates across respondents.
Oh, nice.
So I feel like maybe this may have been more of an open.
Well, then that's
question.
good.
So
That's good.
Now, if maybe we put out a retraction to that later if I found out otherwise. But I wasn't involved in this particular survey, so I don't know
Gotcha.
what we actually gave them there.
Yeah.
So let's just go from kind of like lowest amount to highest here. The average cost that people said that they would expect to pay for a price checker was around $2,800.
Yep.
For a product info kiosk, $4,200.
Yep.
Self-checkout, $4,600.
Yep.
A wayfinding kiosk, $5,600.
Right.
And for a BOPUS, buy online, pick up in store locker system, $7,000.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on these?
Well, so I thought a lot of them were dead on. The price checker, the product info kiosk, and the wayfinding kiosk seemed reasonable. That seemed like, those were pretty good. And then the self-checkout, though, at that one, at basically $4,500, I'm like, no. Because I believe the average cost of a self-checkout is considerably more than
That's
that.
what I thought.
A single lane, you're gonna be at a minimum $15K, I'd say. Not even programmed. Like that's just the unit. Like it's and you can get into, does it take cash options, and that's going to add on to it and stuff like that. But I'll say just in general, you're probably looking closer to $13,000, $15,000 just for the unit. In fact, the average cost of a 4-lane system is $125,000. So I think there was a disconnect on the self-checkout.
Yeah, a little misconception there, potentially.
I don't know if they were oversimplifying. I mean, a lot of these people that responded, to your point, are part of larger retail establishments. So they should know that this isn't, I'm trying to think back in some of the early days when self-checkout was being implemented. It was like literally a computer with a barcode scanner. And you had to there was a mouse there too. It's like, dink, and then you're like clicking on checkout. And, that could be pretty cheap.
Yeah.
As a self-checkout.
And maybe that's it. Maybe when some of these folks first implemented self-checkout, it was relatively inexpensive. And let's be honest, there is some places that are still using kind of outdated, not technology that's not still working, but a little bit on the older side where you can tell hey, there's much better, newer options than this and faster options potentially at this point.
And I think those are a little bit more expensive.
Right.
I mean, again, I would put that at a minimum of whatever, 13, 14 grand to do that.
Right.
So that's the big disconnect I had on this particular one. I don't, I felt like there was a little bit of a disconnect. And now on the BOPUS lockers, I honestly don't know what a system like that would go for. $7 grand seems reasonable at a minimum, because I know that you're obviously getting into RFID technology and things of that nature. So
just like the infrastructure of that seems like it might be a little costly.
Exactly. So. Yeah. So, but overall, I mean, I think it's good that for the majority of this, they're connected to what the price would be, right? And so they kind of understand. I know we're going to get into who those people are here in just a second. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
another question we had here that I found kind of interesting is basically asking about the usefulness of technology. Like, do you think self-service is useful for your business? And again, overwhelmingly, there was positive responses here. The total, let's see, of everybody here said 53% of respondents indicated that self-service was critical for their business. I'm sorry, that was actually just from the electronics sector. So when we look overall here, just on the overall totals, again, the vast bulk of folks here that said critical or very useful to their business was combined over 90%.
Yeah, it was 93%.
93% of respondents said that self-service was critical or very useful. 6% said nice to have, and there was one single response that said it's not relevant or applicable.
Back to my earlier comment, I think that's the really small retailer. It's like, it's me.
I don't need this.
It's me in my store. What do I What do I need a self-checkout lane for?
Yeah, exactly. I sell 5 items. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But again, the other part of this, though, is that when we distilled down a little bit further and made connections between the actual, industry segments, retail segments that said this stuff. Apparently, electronics, overwhelmingly 53% of them said that self-service was critical in their business. Home goods reported the same at 50% total.
Right.
Now, I find that one interesting because I do feel like a lot of home goods places where some were outside of, after grocery, because grocery obviously was the earliest adopter typically for self-service. I feel like I saw it more often than not in home goods stores before it started spreading out a little bit wider. I remember like Home Depot, for instance, implementing self-service very early on.
For sure.
And it was a kind of a place that I didn't necessarily expect to see that. And was like, well, that's kind of cool that they're doing that here.
Especially some of it can be bulky stuff.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I got this bag of cement.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And they were, but they also, when they rolled it out too, it seemed like they rolled it out in a smart way where they, they made sure there was a barcode scanner that could easily be taken and scanning and stuff. So they recognized, that potential for bulky big items.
Yeah.
But electronics, I guess, actually I find electronics kind of interesting that find it critical to their business.
Yeah.
Just
I
because
think they figure. Well, go ahead.
No, I would say I just feel like electronics is always a more sensitive and secure type of.
Absolutely.
And I know people sometimes think that self-service is more rife with potential for theft.
Yes. Oh, it is.
And probably, I mean, obviously
it
it
is,
is.
yeah.
So I find it interesting that electronics retailers were much more inclined, were at least half of them much more inclined to say that it was critical to their business,
Yeah.
not just a good thing to have.
I think they're more inclined to have to portray themselves as being cool or being on the
that's
bleeding
true.
edge of technology,
Yeah.
right? I mean, who wants to go to a high-end 4K TV electronics store?
We're going to
and-
need you to pay that with a check. And you got to stand in line over here because we got one cashier.
That would be a bit of a check. I wasn't even thinking that. That's beautiful. Yeah. Hold on. We got to
Yeah,
confirm your check. Hold on.
That would kind of put a little bit of cramp in your status as a high-end, technology company.
Absolutely.
So,
But
all right.
overall, I think this confirms that, retail sees the value here, obviously, in self-serve, right?
Yep.
I mean, there's clearly seeing the value of it. Now, I am going to go back a question, though, because I felt like, they see that the need for it, but I do think that they're overly stating how satisfied customers are with self-service technology. Because we asked that question. Overall, how satisfied are your customers, with self-serve technology in your store? Now, of all the respondents, I think it was 96% of them. So 96 people said they were either somewhat satisfied or very satisfied. Now, come on. I mean, I love and only 3 were neutral. And by the way, nobody said that their customers were unsatisfied or very unsatisfied.
Right.
That's BS, right? I mean, clearly some of their customers are not really satisfied with this.
That's kind of why I skipped that question, because I looked at it and I go, this is from the perspective, if we're talking about the perspective of the retailers,
right? Yeah.
But again,
They just think everything's hunky dory.
But I guess and that can be an important point of like why you need to make sure you are bringing in the right solutions, because they think, any old self-service will do, and my customers are going to think it's great. Whereas we as consumers know that there are some times that the self-service experience is not good at all.
That's it.
Like you may appreciate that it's there, and you start using it, you go, this is garbage.
Or at least I don't know that I would make that bold claim. Like they're very satisfied with VARs.
Yeah.
We got the best self-serve checkout. It's just love it. I don't know. So anyway, I wanted to question that a little bit.
Scan your box of crackers 6 times to make it go through. Very satisfied. Yeah. All right. So next up, we also asked basically, because we need to dive in further and find out, hey, what types of self-service technology are you using in your business?
This one I found fascinating.
The top 4 choices here were self-checkout, which makes sense.
Yep.
Price checks, which I honestly kind of surprised by.
I'm going to stop you on the price checks. I'm like, who uses price? I go to Target. Well, Marco's raising his hand. I use them, but I don't know that I find them ubiquitously everywhere.
Right.
Like Target has one. In my mind, Target's the only one with like that red price checker that's on a column somewhere.
Randomly
that can just walk up
the store.
But other
again,
than Target, name me one place that has a price checker.
I don't know, because again, I don't know that I've ever used one.
Exactly.
Maybe once
Marco,
or twice.
You rose your hand. You use them, but can you think of places they are? Kroger. Kroger
Does
really
Kroger
in
actually
aisle?
have price checks?
Okay. All right.
I mean, again, I don't go in Kroger that much.
Dang. So I was
don't need a price check
I'm
and
with
pickup.
you though. I was really surprised at how big of a number. That's 60 some odd percent.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
I
that
think
said
so.
that they have price checking technology in their stores. It's like, whoa.
68 of 100 say they have price
Believe
checkers.
you me, I'm going to be looking around now. All the retailers, I go, where's the daggone price checker?
I guess again, that's where where's our perception versus the reality of what's actually being used? Because I'd be curious to know how much those price checkers are in use.
Right.
Because I feel like most stores are pretty good about illustrating their price these days.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And if they're not, or if it's either not, one, I don't know that people are thinking to go to check a price checker. 2, the people that might do it because they're not paying attention and don't notice the price, I feel like is not the person also that would know to go look for a price checker. I don't know. It just feels to me like this is a technology.
You're getting deep now
I just
on the
really
price
wonder,
checker.
like I would love to just stake a claim one day, just go find some of these stores, set up a camera,
Yeah.
and just watch for like, I don't know, a week and find out like how many times did someone actually use
it.
this thing.
Yeah. Oh, the data's there. I don't know. Maybe we need somebody like Tony Boncore to come in here and say, "Oh, you guys are wrong, dude."
Hey, guess what? We got a pod coming up with him in not too long. We can ask him about it. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, there you go. All right. So anyway, I did keep going, but I found that one
all right, yeah,
little suspicious myself.
That one jumped out to me too. Self-checkout made sense. That one was like, what?
Yeah.
The next two highest were information and self-order. Now, again, self-order, all right, I get that to some extent. Although, again, I do feel like that's something that's still growing more than it is. I mean, again, I can't think of too many places where I can go and actually order stuff from a kiosk. And I was going to say if we were counting like restaurants or stuff, but I don't think that was included.
Retail,
we did
right?
standard retail. And I don't know of too many retailers that have the option to go place an online order at a kiosk in their facility either. So.
Yeah, or maybe one that's not obvious, right? I mean, this gets to the end of the aisle, like, oh, we don't have it in your store here, just go to the kiosk, and maybe, I don't know where, it's just not obvious where it is. I went to a furniture retailer, and it was fairly obvious in the front of the store. They had this big kiosk and touchscreen that you could walk up to, but it was used as a tool for the associates.
Right,
oh, you like this, but it's not right here. Come on over to the kiosk.
That's a good point. I wonder if that's considered as
I think so.
Potentially part of the option there.
Yeah, because I could have ordered. I could have hit the buy now button when she was showing it to us. But,
yeah, that's a very good point. A lot of those places, like you have that stuff set up for the associates, but not necessarily for the consumer facing.
Bingo.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. A couple of the ones that kind of came, I mean, here's the thing. I'm going to say low, but yet all things considered, we're still pretty high percentage-wise, were customer feedback surveys. 32 of 100 said they're doing that.
Where?
Again, where is that?
Is it
Did we talk to like, just high-end like retail boutiques or something in Los Angeles and New York that's doing this stuff? Because I can tell you here in the Midwest, I've never had the option to fill out a survey in a store.
Could it be as
kiosk.
simple as how is the bathroom and you just touch the happy face or the frowny face?
But again, when have you ever seen that?
Well,
I'm not touching something sitting by a bathroom.
I know
Come on.
you're not touching them, but you see them in airports and stuff. You see them all over the place.
Maybe. And then smart lockers for BOPUS, 29 out of 100 said that they were using smart lockers.
I find that hard to believe.
I mean, again, I think the only place I can think of where I've used one was Walmart.
Walmart, for sure.
I don't know of any other retailers that I'm aware of.
Well, there's the Amazon boxes. Marco's got them.
Yeah.
Lowe's.
Do they offer those
Lowe's
now?
has a pickup locker now.
So I guess there are probably a few that are doing it.
I think they're starting to get there, but 29% to me did seem a little
Yeah.
heavy. I would have expected that to be sub 10%. Yeah.
And the absolute lowest that were under 20% were store mapping and wayfinding and gift registry.
Yeah. Well,
which again, the gift registry is another one I would have thought would have maybe been a little bit higher,
Yeah, for sure.
But I suppose that's not something that like there's only select types of stores that really need it. I don't think you need a gift registry at Lowe's, for instance.
Oh, I would have.
You could have. Yeah, I can see it now.
Oh yeah, Marco's got one. Yeah.
Dean, were you one of those guys when you were filling out the baby registry, started putting stuff on there you wanted to, like it's for the baby, yeah.
Look at this nice sound system. It's for the baby.
Baby needs a new drum set. Yeah.
I was not that guy at all. No, never. In fact, I'm thinking of re-upping my vows with my wife. So
there you go. Get yourself a new gift registry.
Anyway.
Good call. Good idea. All right. Any more thoughts on the usage there?
No, I got nothing more there. Yeah.
So next up, then we took the next step was asking about benefits. Like, so what do you see as the key benefits of self-service technology? Overwhelmingly, there was actually quite a few good responses here. The top two were reducing lines and wait times and increasing customer convenience. Both of those were mid 60% responses on those.
Now, did we give people responses here? Do you know? I know I keep asking you.
Okay. There was, a selection of responses. That's why you see more than 100 overall for these because we gave everybody the option to pick as many as they, as they wanted there. The next highest one after those two was increasing sales at 53%. And then both right around the 50% mark, easing the burden of staff shortages and improving in-store traffic. So not all of these feel like they check out.
They do. It's like the standard talking points of what self-serve technology
exactly.
can
There's
do.
nothing about this that was particularly surprising.
Except for the last one to me.
Right.
Not surprising, but understandable.
Exactly. The two lowest options here, 31% was elevating the in-store customer experience, and at only 11%, the cool factor of new tech.
Yeah.
Which I guess, I imagine a major retailer is not bringing in new tech just because it's cool. You know?
Yeah. Well,
there's got to be a business purpose behind it.
It just highlights the fact that obviously retailers think that it's kind of old news.
That's a good point.
This is technology, and they're not doing it. Maybe there was a cool factor pre-pandemic or whatever, and certainly maybe during the pandemic, but now it's like almost table stakes to a certain degree. So the cool factor has lost its luster clearly.
The elevating in-store experience I found interesting too, because I feel like that's one that maybe 10 years from now you go back and ask that question, you might get a lot more people saying that that's an important part of why they have it. Because again, I mean, here we are post-pandemic, the drive to bring people back in store. I think having this technology was a big part of that. Like, hey, we know people want this, but we keep talking about the idea that retail is getting more and more experiential, where going to a retailer needs to be an experience. For someone to bother stepping into a store, they need to have an amazing reason to do so. It needs to be an experience.
Yes.
Not just here's our stuff, come buy it if you want and then get out.
Yeah.
But like, hey, come in, you're going to have a fun time while you're here, and we're also going to sell you some stuff too.
Yeah.
So I think, self-service, options only add to that idea of improving that experience where you can come in and, and again, I think as more places like, fold in that idea of, hey, come into our store. We don't really have a lot of stuff here, but you can design the perfect product for yourself. You can sift through options, here. Like I think I think we talked about this when we talked about the experience on a previous episode. Like my wife and I went to a furniture store. Went to several furniture stores when we were looking to buy some new living room furniture. And most of those places you walk into now, they've got those racks, those giant racks with all the fabrics.
Oh yes, right, yeah.
To figure out the fabric, whatever. That's the kind of experience. I know, like fabric, there's a tactile sense there, obviously, but experiences like that though are something that I feel like you could find ways to make that more of an interactive self-service experience with kiosks as a starting point. And then maybe once you've kind of figured out your colors and, general sense of patterns or whatever, maybe after that you kind of figure out a way to like bring out tactile experience or something.
I got you.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're just going to invent something where you slip on a glove, a VR glove, and you get the tactile
I
experience.
would not doubt that at all. Ooh, that feels good. Yeah. What the hell?
Why is this couch sticky? This is the pre-sticky toddler couch.
Yeah, there you go. We just wanted to give you what it's going to feel like.
This is what your couch is going to feel like in 3 years after your kids get older.
After it's worn a little bit.
Even though you tell them to stay away and not touch, and yet somehow.
Now, what I wish we had asked as a part of this question here is like something around the data. Like, what do you see as part of the value, right, or the benefit? Is maybe extracting some of the data. Because when you look at some of the uses, right, that people are using it for, like store mapping or wayfinding or customer feedback and stuff like that, the power of self-serve, or at least to me, part of the power can be the data that you're getting out of it as far as how people are utilizing it, what are they shopping for, those types of things. And anyway, it would have been nice, it would have been cool to like pepper that in here to see if anybody responded on that.
Right.
But it equates to maybe the next question that we had in our survey about who.
Yes, sir.
Or which departments are involved.
Yeah, so we also, as we're talking about this and figuring out where their opportunities might lie for our VARs to figure out, all right, I'm equipped with this info, what do I do with it? We also asked what department owns the implementation of self-service technology within your company. So an even 38% on both sides said on-site IT department or the operations department, which I think kind of would check out. Most people would probably assume like, okay, that makes sense. They're the folks that are doing that. I was surprised with this. 21% said the corporate IT team, which again, I guess depending on the size of the retailer, might have a corporate influence. But I feel like they're more going to just be in charge of helping kind of like pick it out and maybe like push out like software or whatever versus the implementation aspect itself there.
Yeah,
so
all right.
Maybe that's just my thought there.
Yeah.
But as we note in the article here, James Cordy wrote this particular article. He says, if we're analyzing this input correctly, it follows that even with larger organizations, the hands-on work is being handled at the individual chain branch level versus by the parent company. He illustrates this by this could be good news for VARs and system integrators looking for inroads with larger retail organizations at the local level.
I don't disagree.
I think
with
that's
a really good insight.
A good point that, like, yes, I know we think sometimes when you look at the big box retailers, like, oh man, I've got to break in at the very top, and the only way you get something into all the stores is to do it from the top end. And yes, that may be true to an extent, but I think we talk a lot about, obviously, learning how to dig into buying groups and figure out where to start. And a lot of like the consultative selling model is finding like a champion or somebody that can work with you to help you take you to the top where you need to go to pitch something. And again, I think if the folks that are in the trenches and dealing with this stuff or in the local stores or in the regional stores, and you can spend time with them and find out
You got a way to influence,
what they
right?
are
And be a part of it.
frustrated by or what's working for them or where they see needs. That's only can be good ammo for you, that when you get that chance to make your case to the top dogs, you've got it backed up by like, hey, I've spent time with, 10 members of your regional IT team.
Yeah, right.
And here's all the things that they told me that I think we can help you out with to improve your self-service experience, stuff like that.
Which is a good angle, because a lot of times you hear, especially in organizations that have, let's say, tens of, if not hundreds of locations, the smart ones do allow for regional autonomy or local autonomy, right? Certainly in products and stuff like that. And sometimes in technology that is deployed that's relevant to the local people, right? Now, what I thought was kind of a little bit of a ha-ha, and of course I'm in marketing, but only 1% of the departments that own the implementation. Now, I understand that, I guess, when you phrase it the way owning it, I guess marketing is not going to be involved in owning it.
Yeah, probably
But
not.
man, it made me laugh a little bit, and I think there's a little bit of a miss, because what I was indicating before around the data, that this is where I think the part of the miss is that, I mean, maybe the marketing teams are involved. God, I hope so, because when you get into such things as user experience, I mean, now you're getting into UI, UX. What does it feel? How are the customers interacting with it? What's our brand, look like?
Why do we need to implement it to begin with?
Why do we need to do it? Yeah. What is the workflow? Those.
And how do we
types of
tell people
things.
that we're doing it?
100%, right? So, I was surprised that the marketing was kind of so low there. But anyway.
But you're right, because another point I'll add there about just people even needing to know that you're offering self-service. How many times have you gone into a store and been like, oh, they got self-service here? I did not even know it. Or it's like tucked away somewhere where you had no idea.
Yeah.
I found myself going into my local CVS a couple weeks ago to pick up some stuff. And I was on my way out, and I was like, I got to go up to the counter. There was like a couple people waiting in line. And I look over, and near like the doors leading outside, there's a random self-service kiosk that had recently been added. I'm like,
it wasn't back by the old Kodak.
No,
and
I was like,
the post
I was like, well, at
office?
least this is sort of in the right place. Although I did find it interesting that it was like almost like right by the doors.
right.
I mean, it's it's one of those things. I'm like, as I'm
Oops, I
walking,
forgot to check out.
I know
Out the door.
exactly. But like, I found it interesting that it was there. I was like, okay, I had no idea you guys had this, and there just wasn't a lot of signage around it. I mean, it was it just kind of like was there and had a little sign above it like check out here or something, and like the screen that had like a giant camera on it showing you what you were doing was bigger than the signage indicating that it was even there. But so hopefully keep the marketing folks involved. Because,
Well, and I think that there's a part to differentiate there. Like if marketing doesn't have a voice yet in this whole self-serve world, use that as leverage. Make sure you're talking to those people, because again, the data angle can bring additional value into this self-serve world. Any of the data that you're getting out of it is going to be meaningful, and I'm sure they're going to want to quantify it if they're not thinking about that already.
Yep.
So
exactly. All right. So next we asked them, how is self-service hardware displayed in your business? And basically meaning like, what's the form factor essentially that you're rolling out your self-service with?
Yep.
We kind of got a broad, set of answers across the board here too. But the top one at 64% of responses was touchscreens built and integrated into custom kiosks and enclosures, which again, I think would probably be the expectation, because I think that can cover everything from like a full size, grocery store checkout display or whatever to an actual just, purpose built kiosk that's, got a scanner built into it and a printer or something. But we also have responses 47, almost 48% said placed on a countertop, 45% mounted on a wall, and the smallest amount was 39 or almost 40% said on a stand, which I kind of feel like, I guess.
I was surprised at the wall one.
Yeah,
to me,
I was a little bit too.
I can't remember a store that I walked into that had some type of self-service apparatus that was wall mounted.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, that has to be either a price checker, maybe. I don't know.
Well, that's a good point. We've established there's a lot more price checkers than we thought out
walls
there.
Walls in retail, it's like you only have the four walls on the outside, and it's like,
and I think of like, and granted, we didn't get a lot of responses from grocery. It wasn't an overwhelming response. I know, like at grocery stores, you'll see a lot of those like bill pay kiosks, maybe, or like the coin, changer things or whatever. There's
up
some
against the wall,
but those are usually like kind of like
not wall mounted.
Yeah, I guess it's
This is
more.
wall
Yeah,
mounted.
that's a good point. Like I don't necessarily think they're wall mounted
Anyway,
per se.
yeah,
so,
yeah.
it's a good
No,
question there. Yeah.
I would have thought stands were a little bit higher. I was just when 45% say wall mount, I'm thinking, my gosh, I don't walk into 45% of retail.
This is probably the kind of the problem sometimes these surveys. Whereas, I mean, not that I'm saying I don't appreciate we do this, and I think there's a lot of useful data.
Oh, no, there's good stuff here.
But
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
be
yeah.
honest, because again, we're the marketing folks.
Yeah.
Folks like us, if we were doing these surveys, we'd spend like an hour on the phone with these people because we just keep like asking you questions like, "What do you mean wall mounted? What do you got wall mounted? I've never seen a wall mounted self service in a
I
retail
just wanted
store."
to
Yeah.
answer the question.
Like, sir, is this one of your 30 questions? Like, yeah, this is 29.5.
Yes. 30A1.
Yeah, exactly.
Good stuff.
So, you got to do what you can when you've got a certain pool of questions.
Absolutely.
you're
Yeah.
running through.
Yeah,
So, and then finally, a couple things I wanted to kind of put together here. So we talked about the deployment options, but I also wanted to add in the idea of technical problems because that's
Yes.
obviously important a lot to our VARs. Is like,
Yeah.
hey, where do people have problems that maybe we can help them solve? So we asked, how often do you experience technical problems with your self-service systems? And this was another fascinating response.
Absolutely.
Where 96% of respondents were at least somewhat satisfied. But as Cordy noted in the article here, that does not correlate to how often they ran into technical problems
That's
with
right.
their deployment.
That's
but
right.
Still, an overwhelming majority basically said like, we're pretty happy with we're with our self-service overall. But when we drill in a little bit further and say, all right, how often do problems actually occur? That's where you get a few more issues. Now, granted, 43% still said rarely or only a few times a year do they encounter issues,
Right.
Which is good because if
yeah.
our VARs are out there deploying this software or companies like Elo,
I was
going
going
to
to say, clearly those are the people that are using Elo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like clearly, like it's working and they like it and they're not having many problems with it,
Right.
which is ideal. You don't want to give somebody a solution that is going to have these regular problems. But the next highest was 26% said they were experiencing problems monthly, and then 12% each said daily and weekly. Very few, only 6% said never. So no one's completely immune to this.
No, but I think there's good opportunity here. If you combine the daily and the weekly, that's 24%, almost 25% of people are experiencing issues with their technology weekly. So clearly they're not using Elo. But anyway, there's an opportunity knowing that, a significant portion of those that have implemented, even though they might be satisfied, you could plant the seed of doubt, and saying, well, okay, you're satisfied. I get it. But how often do you experience this?
Right.
And if they come back, 25% of them are going to say, weekly at least, we're doing something with that thing. Hey, we can help you mitigate
that should be less.
There's your end.
We can at least get you down to monthly, but more like once or twice a year,
Right? Yeah.
I thought because I felt the same way. I'm like, there's, I think it's like a lot of things. People have thresholds for pain,
Yes. Oh,
and especially
clearly.
in the world of tech, we've learned to have thresholds for technology issues. It's like that day when a website's slow to load, or when you try to watch your favorite show and the streamer takes a few minutes to load, or crashes and you got to reboot or something.
Yeah.
We've all built a little bit of that expectation of, all right, things aren't always going to be perfect into our lives, but I think sometimes that might be where this conversation comes in, where folks are saying like, hey, we're very satisfied with it, even though we're having a weekly issue with it. Like, no, you don't have to settle for that.
Right.
Like, it can be better than that, and let us help you get to there.
Yeah.
The two extra things I wanted to add here was that of those that reported monthly issues, supermarket, grocery, and department stores showed up most frequently. But as Cordy notes, the margin was narrow and spread somewhat evenly. So those are the ones that you see the most likely.
There you go. Good stuff.
For.
Yeah.
Yep. So very thorough. Again, another very thorough survey here.
Yes.
Good
stuff.
In Cordy's summary here, he notes that 24% of responses indicating daily or weekly technical issues indicates that local technical support is a possible foot in the door angle for VARs and SIs looking to get a foot. I kind of probably preambled our value of VAR there, but
that was mine.
didn't really think to do that. We can just skip that portion entirely now. But he makes a very good point there. Like if you're looking for a way in, that's probably the way to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, we'll see if we have any additional value to the VAR here in a moment. But as always, want to thank the sponsors of the TEConnect podcast and our TEConnect program. Big thanks, of course, to Elo, who is one of those sponsors. has always been a supporter of our show, and we appreciate them sponsoring this survey as well. Hopefully they get some good data out of that that they can share out with their folks too. So, and again, check out the link in the show notes. You'll find the BlueStar Nation article, the specific overall article, so you can dive deep into that data yourself. Make sure you subscribe to that. So make sure you're following and subscribe to us on LinkedIn. Always a great place. When we do these surveys, we always put up several posts about them there so people know that it's out there. Follow us on YouTube because that's where you find this podcast, other cool videos we're putting out there. Like and subscribe to the show. Leave us reviews, please. It's very important for us. We just talked about this idea. I just mentioned earlier, like, I'm a survey guy. I don't mind giving people feedback because I know how much I appreciate having feedback about the things that I'm doing. And that means I'd like to have feedback from you guys about the podcast. I mean, it can be as simple as like, hey, you guys are doing a great job. If that's all you want to say, fine. At least I know. If you're all sitting out there going, man, these guys suck. I don't know why I've listened to this show for over 150 episodes.
I doubt that's happening, but
I kind of doubt it too. But even so, we want to hear about it. So let us know. Drop us a line. Of course, if you have ideas for the show, think about these surveys we're doing, all right? We're doing lots of this good end user stuff. Cordy was just reaching out to the team today and saying, hey, we need some ideas for new BlueStar Nation content.
That's right.
If you have thoughts on that, if there are topics you would like us to be writing about, if there are surveys you'd like us to be doing, end user stuff you want us to find out about, industries you want us talking about, maybe just deep dives into topics that
we can unleash the Kraken for you, and get that information.
Tell us about that stuff, because if we do it on the blog, we're probably going to talk about it here on the podcast too.
100%.
It's a direct line that I look at and go, all right, new story, new podcast. I let Cordy do the work for me sometimes on those, if I'm not the one doing it myself. So please send in those submissions. There's always a link in the show notes to drop us a line and tell us what you want to hear about on the show. Just for doing it, we'll send you a podcast t-shirt.
What?
Yep. Simple as that. You get a new t-shirt just for telling us what you want to hear about on the show.
There you go.
And as always, if you want to stay in touch with us here on the podcast, you can find us on Twitter at TEConnectPod. You can also email us TEConnect@BlueStarInc.com. All right, Dean, let's wrap up here. Okay, I kind of took a little thunder out of Value of the VAR here. My question was like for retail, POS, digital display VARs.
Right.
What do you think are some of the key takeaways? Was there anything besides the idea of like, hey, go out there and, talk to these local folks and be their support?
Absolutely. You should be doing that. But overall, with the statistics that we did at the front end here, self-serve technology and the use of technology continues to expand within retail. There's such things as people are implementing loyalty program access or personalization of certain items. So there's a kiosk that you can do that with. So it's just knowing that, this technology continues to expand. There's use cases for it. You need to be in the game, right? Yep. You need to be in the game, whether it's self-serve or something simple like a price checker that apparently are all around there. You should be in that game and just know about the technology that's happening.
But you know what? A price checker can probably have an elevated game these days. Like, imagine a price checker, like, it doesn't just give you the price, it shows you all the cool benefits.
Absolutely.
And features.
That's what I'm saying.
Gives you like some kind of like 3D.
You got to get the marketing department in there.
Color options.
Absolutely.
Let you order it if they don't have the one you want.
Yep.
There you go. That's how we can.
Or here, I'm doing the price checker. Would that be a timely place to throw a coupon at them or something like that?
Go,
I don't know.
Interested in buying this? Here's 10% off. I like it.
Perfect. See? Yeah. Are we in marketing? Yeah, I
think we are. Yeah.
Anyway,
I will pretty much agree with that. And the only other thing I'll add too is when we talked kind of at the top a little bit about the idea of, oh man, I lost my train of thought there. Man, I totally lost my train of thought of that one.
Well,
so maybe we can move on from that. If I think about it in a moment, I'll throw it back out there again.
Yeah, anyway.
But again, I know what I was going to say. Just the idea that these integrations, these self-serve, whatever they are, whether it's kiosk, wall-mounted, or whatever, it's again, like we always talk about, it's a no VARs and island kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, right.
Where it's going to take a lot of parts and components and pieces to it. And again, lean on your overall channel here to help you out with this stuff, to help you connect you to the right software providers, to help connect you with the right manufacturers.
Yeah.
Folks like Elo are very well experienced in this whole self-service deployment. It's a big part of what they're doing in their business. Don't hesitate to reach out to those folks to get help with these things.
They got great people. They got great people, great technology, folks like that.
There you go. So, maybe we can edit out my brain fart there. So it's not something Marco does. He's like, nope. I like making y'all look foolish.
Yep.
All right, let's wrap up as always with What's TEConnecting with You, our favorite segment where we get to talk about just anything we feel like in the world of science, tech, innovation, business that we just feel like chatting about today. Dean, what's TEConnecting with you right now?
Well, I got two of them for you today here, brother. Have you ever tried to track somebody?
Yeah.
like Life 360 or something like that.
Like my wife and I do the whole Find My iPhone thing.
Find My own phone.
So we
Yeah,
can,
yeah. Have you ever
keep an eye on each other on our travels and stuff?
Have you ever had like maybe not the best experience with that, or have you ever been in a big city and GPS can't find you? You're going down the caverns and it thinks that you're suddenly in St. Louis or something.
You're trying
like
to come
that.
out of a parking garage and it can't figure
There
it out.
you go.
Reroutes
You're in a
20 times.
parking garage. You're trying to put in where's my next destination, and it thinks you're I don't know, not anywhere near where you're at.
Or you turn left because it told you to turn left, and it immediately switches and it's like, do a U-turn.
Researchers have demonstrated proof of concept wireless navigation system using cosmic rays or particles known as muons.
Okay.
Which would, these systems would allow for underground or inside building navigation, right? So the shortcomings of GPS are just that. You can't send those signals through big walls, water,
Or if you just get into a place with bad cell service.
Exactly. But apparently cosmic ray muons fall equally across the Earth consistently all the time.
Okay.
And so how does it work? Well, this muon detector is used. And by the way, they're using them all today in like archaeological, easy for me to say, sites where they're finding like new caverns and tombs and stuff like
Jurassic World, muons.
Muons, yes. Or it's even being used to detect nuclear materials at borders. Who knew that?
Okay.
I didn't even know really what a muon
Good to be tracking
was.
that kind of stuff.
Yes. So, so there is use cases where it is being used, but there is one particular problem here is that it comes in muon wireless navigation needs high precision quartz clocks, receivers, transmitters, all this kind of stuff. So
I'm sure that's super cheap.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not quite the nirvana that, you can't just send up satellites beaming down signals. You actually have to set up this infrastructure like around a pyramid, and then it can help you see into it. So maybe not. It had me all excited.
Maybe we just need to still just drive out of the parking garage.
Absolutely.
Wait for the GPS
Wait for the
to figure
GPS.
it out. Yeah.
Now, as you're doing that, and this is going to air post July 4th, correct?
Yes.
So, did you by the chance, or maybe you get a chance, and my second TEConnecting with me is consuming colachup.
Colachup?
Colachup, not ketchup. Colachup. So Colachup is Pepsi is introducing Colachup, a cola flavored condiment.
The company that brought you Peepsy, except didn't call it that. They just call it like Peep flavored Pepsi or something.
Now wait a minute, Marco might be into this because I think he likes. You like Pepsi's? Is it not what is
Nitro?
Nitro?
I like that stuff. That stuff's
well,
good.
okay. So, if you drink Pepsi Nitro, maybe you'll give Colachup a chance here. So it's a new condiment developed by Pepsi and the CIA.
Stay
by
in
the
your
way,
lane, Pepsi.
not the CIA, the Culinary Institute of America, which is the bomb. I mean, that's like the highest echelon, right?
It'd be funny if it was the actual CIA.
Colachup is made with a Pepsi reduction, so you got to take the Pepsi and you got to reduce it. Why I got a Spanish or a French accent? I have no idea.
You got
to reduce it. Smoked tomatoes, ketchup. They do put ketchup in it, and a delightful blend of cloves, cinnamon, thyme, oregano, and paprika. There you go. Now, but by the way, you can only get this in 4 Major League Baseball parks over the 4th of July weekend. So if you were at Chase Field, Yankee Stadium, Target Field in Minneapolis, or Comerica Park in Detroit, maybe you had some.
All right, if you got to check out Colachup,
let
us a message and let us know. I'll give you a podcast T-shirt just for telling us that you tried it.
There you go. I want to try it.
You got to send me the proof there. You got to send me the ticket.
There you go. Yes, right? Yeah.
Show me,
smeared with Colachup.
Show me the proof that you did that. I mean, I would try it. Yeah, I agree.
I would try it.
I mean, I'm always interested
Why not?
in new. Like, I love an interesting gourmet sauce.
Yeah.
Like
I think I've had it before because I guarantee you I've spilled a Pepsi on my hot dog at some point that had ketchup on it. Yeah. Same effect.
Well, I mean, I know like there's a lot of people who will use like cola in baking. Like you can make like brownies like with like a cola base and different types of breads and stuff. So I can
maybe it's not as ridiculous as I
can see
first
that.
read.
I don't know that Pepsi need to go out of their way to produce this themselves. Like it could be just. Sounds like a bit of a DIY recipe to me, frankly. But.
No doubt. And if the Culinary Institute got involved here, come on now. That's like putting the big old stamp of approval on it.
You know what this is because I don't know if you've heard it. Like TikTok has become like a place where people experiment with all different kinds of food. Like there's a whole entire, because there's all these interesting subgenres on TikTok.
Yeah.
And there's one that's people just making strange food concoctions from stuff
Like
they
this?
have around
Yeah.
their house.
Yeah, okay, got it.
So I guarantee you, because there was a whole thing like a year or so back about pink sauce, this strange stuff called a pink sauce that people didn't know what it actually
see.
was, that
I
people
see.
were making and talking about on TikTok.
Got
This
it.
feels like Pepsi trying to cash in on something.
I
like that.
gotcha.
Like,
Well, there you go.
here's our TikTok-worthy new condiment that we're going to throw out there.
Go get yourself some colachup.
Colachup.
At Comerica Park. Okay, what's TEConnecting with you?
All right, so we've heard of the Internet of Things.
Yes,
We've heard
IoT.
about all these things about even like IIoT, the
Oh, yes,
industrial
of course.
Internet of Things, ways that you can keep track of people as a society and our patterns and our movements and ways
yes.
to improve our society.
Sensing technology.
Apparently now they have the Internet of Animals, or they're trying to grow the
what?
Internet of Animals.
What?
Yeah, so this is an interesting article I came across from who was this from North Carolina State University.
All right.
That talked about it's called How Linked Data Artificial Intelligence Could Help Animals. And basically what they're saying is there's already a lot of different animal researchers or researchers in nature that are collecting lots of great data, but they're saying, hey, it's time for us to start putting this data together. It's time for us to start sharing this data.
I gotcha.
And building out an infrastructure and a cloud, where we can all start sharing this data and use it to find to understand more about animals, help animals for conservation, for assistance with issues that they're going
gotcha.
through with
This
climate
seems
change.
pretty intuitive. Yeah.
So they're combining data and research around the world. Things they're studying, they want to combine things like migration patterns, disease spread. A couple interesting examples they come up with. One, which just makes sense here, being able to warn ships where whales are going.
What?
Makes sense if you're out on a ship or whatever. You don't want to.
Well, I would definitely
You don't
want
want to come across some whales and run into them, or you can cause some. Because I don't know if you've heard there's a whole thing lately about with orcas that are apparently have started training each other to attack ships.
Oh no, I haven't read
Orcas
about
have
that.
found ships that they don't like. And
the
a lot of
animals
times
are
it's
turning
been
against
it's
us
been
finally.
actual whaling vessels, ones that are out there
sure.
killing them.
Yeah.
And basically, they will spot them, find out that what they're doing, and they will go train other members of their herd
To ram the boats.
to go attack these boats. Yeah.
Nice.
So the animals are starting to revolt.
Yes,
folks,
I think so.
So maybe it's a good idea to learn where they're not, so we can steer clear of them and not put ourselves in that situation.
I like it.
But the other example, which I found to be interesting, is for bird migration. And apparently, there's a big issue with birds when they're migrating, especially like in the early part of the day or late at night, when they're flying over big cities that have so much light pollution.
Yeah.
That it's disrupting their migration patterns and potentially throwing them off and causing issues, or they'll lose some of the flock as they're moving through.
Sure.
So apparently, as part of this research of being able to identify where birds are moving and where they're going, they can help cities identify when they do basically what they call lights out, where they turn off a lot of the major lights that otherwise are just burning just for no reason. In order to help those particular spread of birds move through. So it'd be nice if scientists in one area can say, hey, we just spotted this whole migration pattern with these birds. They're heading up towards Philadelphia.
I see.
They're going to be moving through the
Talk
Philadelphia
about your
area over the
real-time
next week.
information. Yeah.
We need you guys to
Dim the lights a little
turn
bit.
down the lights for a little while.
Brilliant.
So interesting stuff like that.
Now, did you say this was the Internet of what?
The Internet of Animals.
Oh, IOA.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I mean, why not?
Why not? Yeah.
All right, that is what's TEConnecting with us. It is time for us to unplug. Until next time, go out and buy something, do something
Get some
without speaking
colachup.
to a single human being. Yeah. See if you can self-service some colachup. I like the ballparks have a lot of self-service stuff. Although I will find the last couple times that I've gone to the Reds game, not to call them out, because our Reds are doing very, very well right now.
Yes, they are.
Hopefully this is still timely in a week when this episode comes out. Their self-service, buying stuff from your seat has been a little lacking the last couple times.
Oh boy,
Houston,
we have a problem.
You go try to order something, it just spins. You can't find your restaurant. I've been like, all right, I got to actually get out of my seat and go buy something, stand in a line now.
Customer satisfaction dipping.
Just saying.
Glad the team's doing well.
I'm not very satisfied with that at the moment. Very satisfied with my team, but not with being able to get Sour Patch Kids for my kid when he insists on it in the middle of the third inning.
Nice.
Even though we just came back with a hot dog.
Of course.
Track some bird patterns and turn off the lights. As always, folks, please stay connected. TEConnect Podcast is brought to you by ELO. All right, Dean, we just talked all about self-service.
Yes, sir.
It's important. It's out there. It's happening.
Out there.
Retailers
Ain't going
are
anywhere.
using it. It's trickling its way down to some of the smaller SMB retailers,
For sure.
too. But it has also never been easier. At least that's what ELO says, because they're kind of the experts.
They have a solution for this problem?
Dean, come on.
All right.
I mean,
It's ELO.
Yeah, like there's no surprises there. Unless this is your first time in the industry, the first time listening to this podcast, you've never heard of ELO. Yeah, ELO knows self-service.
There you go.
And particularly, let's talk about ELO's, not brand new, but fairly recent, ELO's Wallaby Pro kiosk stand.
Yes.
The Wallaby Pro is changing the industry by making it easier than ever to configure interactive self-service solutions. You can choose from wall, counter, and floor models engineered with configurations to fit any space in retail, restaurants, hospitality, healthcare, and corporate environments. Just add a 22, 24, or 27-inch touchscreen display.
Nice.
Now, if you're looking for some more options, this is where your favorite word comes in.
Yes.
Modularity.
There it is. Bingo.
They offer things like a custom branded backer board.
Nice.
So, you got that cool one that
Absolutely.
you want to, highlight your services, or like this is where you can find your stuff.
See, get the marketing department involved. They
there you go. Get those marketers involved, like we said.
Some of their value adds in there.
They'll help you put up a cool backer board.
Bingo.
A ceiling pole to minimize footprint.
Nice.
Very important.
Yep.
And a printer.
Oh,
ADA keyboard.
nice.
Assist button.
Yes.
You can use ELO's TEConnect to attach accessories also.
Yes, I like it.
And the Wallaby Pro stand offers easy-to-access concealed housing for a power strip, power bricks, compute devices, cables, whatever you need.
You got to make it look good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, yeah.
Clean that up.
You don't want to have some random kiosk with a bunch of cables sticking out of it. And, someone's just duct taping it to the floor or something.
Looks like the desk of your teenager with wires all over the place.
Exactly.
And yeah.
So, if you're ready to help your customers design the most customizable self-service solutions, start with the Wallaby Pro. Contact your ELO representative to learn more. The TEConnect podcast is also brought to you by Zebra. Look, if it isn't broken, why replace it?
Good point.
Right?
Yeah.
Pretty good motto,
Yeah.
But nothing has ever went wrong thinking like that, right?
Right. Yeah.
Why bother
just let it
replacing
go.
stuff? Like my car is not broken yet. It's 20 years old. I don't need to worry.
Meanwhile,
I just need maintenance.
on vacation
I don't
and
really
it breaks
need-
down.
I don't really
Yeah.
need an oil change.
Right.
But customers often do take this mentality. But we know that there is a big difference between not broken and not working optimally,
There you go. Bingo.
especially regarding legacy printers.
Nice.
So Zebra's here to help with their latest ebook, Knowing When to Say When, 3 Reasons Your Customers Should Refresh Legacy Printers.
Oh, I like it.
Printers can be a mission-critical component of many industries, and as long as they're churning out labels, receipts, and tags, it can be easy to take them for granted until they stop working.
Yes.
You need those labels, and they just suddenly stop working.
Well, it could shut the whole business down.
Exactly.
Right?
Zebra printers are ultra-reliable and long-lasting, but even the best gear should be upgraded occasionally to keep up with the new demands and innovations. So check out the link in the show notes to read the ebook and learn more about how to have these important conversations with your customers.